Have you ever heard that you are what you speak? This week, would you like to hear 3 tips to living a better life just by watching what comes out of your mouth? Hi, I'm Grace Plata, and I'm here to equip, empower, and encourage you to help you live your best life. So this week, I have 3 tips for improving your life just by listening to what's coming out of your own mouth. And by the way, if you've never checked out any other videos or books or anything like telling you about how there's power in your words, I highly suggest you check them out. So, number 1, you skip the excuses and the complaints. Just don't do them, okay? A mentor of mine said that an excuse is just a well-planned lie. So tell me if you can relate with this. Like, someone's asked you to go somewhere with them or do something, and you're like, and you really don't want to go, so you just say, I'd like to, but I have to do like blah, blah, blah. Or maybe kids, you can relate with this. You're back to school shopping with grandma, and you're finding things, and she's finding things, and she shows you what she found, and you're just like, you try it on, and you tell her all the reasons of why it, doesn't fit. And I don't know, maybe that's just me. But excuses are excuses. They're just well-planned lies. I didn't mean to lie to my grandma. I mean, truthfully, when we give excuses to protect other people, we're only hurting ourselves. Like, people, they might be kind of disappointed, but they'd rather us be like truthful with them, with like love, than just like straight out like excuses. But anyway, so don't give excuses or don't complain. There's a thing about complaining. It's really, really easy to do, but it's really, really bad. When we complain, it actually shows that we're powerless with a certain situation. Complaining shows that we are powerless. If we're complaining about like our finances or our health or our work or our school or our coworkers or our fellow students or anybody, if we're complaining about anything or anybody, we're pretty much just spewing out information of why we think it can't change or why we feel like we can't do anything about a certain thing. Do you get what I'm saying? Complaining shows that we are powerless about something. So complain and you'll remain where you are. And then the second tip is practice the way you want to perform. So if you're in the habit of maybe controlling your mouth at home, you'll do it in public too, and that's an awesome tip. See, I love music. I play the viola. It's just like a bigger violin. But if you have, it kind of relates to a soccer team too, or any sport, any music, whatever you do with that team or with that group or whatever, you also have to practice by yourself. If you're an athlete, you stretch and exercise at home, or you practice with other people. Or for me with music, I would have to practice certain parts, because how well I practice by myself will show how well I'll practice and I'll perform out there. And that goes for the same way in other things. If I can't brush off my sister teasing me with something, how am I going to react if somebody offends me with something that could cut deep? It'll go the same way. I mean, you start with the small things and you work your way up. That's how it goes. But we gotta, how we practice is how we're going to perform. So how we react to certain situations at home when our siblings are bothering us will eventually lead us to where it'll come back to us, where will happen in a bigger situation. Does that make sense? I kind of came around that. But watch your mouth. No matter what's happening around you, you're responsible for you. And then the third tip is shake off the critics. Sometimes when we're around other people who are constantly just spreading all their junk out of their mouth, and sometimes we want to join right in, that's kind of natural. But behind the scenes, if we're working with not spewing all that junk with them, we'll bite our tongue. Our pastor, he told a story that when someone called him, some of his critics, I guess, called a meeting to meet with him, and his wife told him beforehand, don't say anything, just bite your tongue. And he thought of her words as, he was just being slammed left and right with everything he's ever done wrong, and he's like, I'm biting, it's hurting, and it's bleeding. So even when people are just slamming you, don't bring it with you on your journey, okay? Shake it off. Leave that baggage behind. Don't carry it with you. Don't carry their words with you. And I love talking about the power of words and speech, because I am a huge believer that we are what we speak, and that our words do have power over us and over ourselves. We can use our power. We can use power. We can use our power. I guess that works too. We can use our words for helping and encouraging somebody, or we can just go kick them down. It's really our choice. But I just love talking about this topic because it is a huge part of how I was healed of fear and depression and a bunch of all the emotional baggage that comes with that. But all I know is that it worked for me. It'll work for you. So how about a challenge? Who likes a challenge? Because I've got one for you. So anytime you catch yourself saying something like negative or complaining or giving an excuse or whatever, whether it's about you or to somebody else, say 2 positive things right after that. So how does that sound? I was going to give this at the beginning, but I think it's a good way to end, actually. So this is how I've been kind of treating my week. So imagine if you were part of an experiment where for everything you said, whether positive or negative, complaining, excuses, or filling people with encouragement and vision and dreams, just like whatever you speak for a week will influence how you will live the next month. And I'm just like, that's an interesting idea. How you will speak for a week will influence how you'll spend the next month. So far, if that were true, this is what would have happened. This is just in the past 3 days. So somebody would have a lazy eye. Someone would have something wrong with their brain. 1 person would be dead. And 3 people would have a heart attack. Yeah. Words, I don't know. I pay attention to people speaking that because it just shocks me. Like, I'm like, when you learn something, you normally see something different. Like, I'm sure a rocket scientist, he admires the stars in the sky, the night sky, a little bit more than average people. So I've learned a lot about words, so I kind of will listen a little bit more to what people are saying more than I'm sure they do. I mean, that's not a, never mind. But I don't know. So I challenge you for that. I kind of like that. Imagine for a week that whatever you say will influence your next month. You will be surprised if you think that how much you'll bite your tongue and how much you won't say the stuff that you want to say. I have caught myself not saying certain things for that reason. I'm like, oh, that's so wanted to come out. But you have to restrain it. Put a restraining order on like negative energy from your mouth. I don't know. I don't know if that sounds right or what. But anyway, leave the critics. Okay, so as just a recap, no complaining, no excuses, and shake off the critics. And even when people are slamming you, I mean, it's just so crazy. But anyway, so I'll see you next week. Thank you so much for your time. I hope you'd enjoy this, and watch your mouth, okay? Bye.